Okay, so I'm going to try my best to help you out here. You've got a few issues with your file, nothing too major. But what we'd like to do is, so you've got like the animation on here and you're getting the trails. That's pretty good. But we don't tend to do this in the sense that you're packing it after and you're transforming it and then you're making constraints on these. So if we take a look at it, you can see the scrubbing of the timeline is actually quite poor. So I'm going to try and quickly fix this up for you. So I'm going to put down a geo node, and I'm actually just going to grab all these files. I'm just going to grab all this for now. So this is, oops, what you have. So I'm just going to grab it. Show it in here. This is going to be the TIE Fighter, I believe. And it's going to take a little bit because the Voronoi fracture does take a little while. See if I can just hit escape for now. Yep. So the Voronoi fracture is quite heavy. And I mean it's something we really can't get away from with this. But I have noticed a few issues with your fracture, which may come up bad. Okay, keep hitting go on it. Let me just open up an old file I might have here. Might help us. Oop. Oop, oop, oop. It is. So I'm going to grab the old Houdini fracture node. And the only difference between these two is that this one isn't really multi-threaded, but it is a little bit more stable in my mind. So I'm going to wire that in. And do you have anything changing? No, it's the exact same attributes here. I'm not going to actually transform it or do all this yet, so we'll sort that out in a second. I just want to fracture this. I'm hoping it actually works well, because it probably won't. Also, sorry if you can hear the fan. It's 30 something in the shade, Australia. So current temperature, by the way. It's 31 degrees in the shade currently. So we're still getting a few issues here. So that's not something we want really. But if we turn over to the new fracture, we still get it. It's something that we really can't. I would love to figure out why it's doing this, but sometimes it just happens. We just get bad fractures. Hopefully it won't actually impact it too badly though. So I mean, if it works here, then we're good. No, we're still getting the same. We're getting the same one, but we're getting a bit worse over here. So I'm just going to switch back to this one for now. So let's just look at the exploded view. And this geometry here just comes because of just how it's built inside the Voronoi. So it makes a triangulate 3D over it all. And if it can't actually triangulate it, then it just does this. So what you should really do is you should split all the different groups here and fracture each one individually based on what they are. So let's take a look here. Let's go to split, and I'm going to get this part here. No, I want something. These are probably parts that you wouldn't. These small parts you probably wouldn't fracture these. So what we could do Actually, I'll just make a split first. So this is L. Just gonna keep going. I'm also going to delete unused groups, sort of thing. Keep it like that. So this one, I'm going to say R, the same one. So really, I could just do on both sides. So I'm going to say L and R, like that. So we've got the two arms. And then here, I want to get. So you've got the windows and you've got the actual wings of this here. And even then, you would want to fracture these up a bit differently. So you've got like different portions of the wing. So I'm just going to go like this to get the wings. And then we've got the rest, which I think is just this. So what we could do here with the arms is I want to just fracture these two big pieces here without all these. I don't want to do it procedurally. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put down a connectivity so that each one of these has a connectivity path. I'm going to turn it into primitives. So what this means is if I put down a color node and I set it to primitive because we're running over the primitive attribute here for class, and I'm going to say random from attribute and I'm going to say class. Then each primitive that is connected, or whatever it is, all the different pieces that are connected to each other, all the primitives, then they're going to be their own little thing. So now what I want to do is I want to measure, and I want to basically delete by their volume. So I think it was by area that I wanted. I'm going to say per piece. I'm going to use the class attribute here. Okay, so now if I go into my primitive, into my geometry spreadsheet and look at my primitives, you can see we've got an area of like point of like 8 and then up to about 12,000. So what I'm going to do is I normally would do this with a, let's see if I can do it with a blast. So I'm going to say blast and I'm going to keep it to primitives. I'm going to make a new parameter here. I'm going to call it area threshold. So I'm going to put the range to about 20,000, like so, because it is quite massive. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say at area is less than this here. Right, at area is less than that. So now you can see that I'm getting all the smaller pieces back that I might want to fracture. So I'm going to keep it to about there. And so I'm going to fracture those. And what I could do then is I could actually have used a split here. So I'm actually going to do that. Instead, I'm just going to copy paste this. Split. And the reason I'm doing a split is because if we dive inside it, it's just got two blast nodes. So it's basically the same. And I'm just going to put down a new float. Call it area. And area threshold. And set the same range. I have before, about 17,000. So we're not going to see anything, so I need to set the primitives. And I actually want to invert it. Okay, so whatever's coming out on this side here, I want to fracture. And whatever's coming out on the other side, I don't want to fracture. So I'm going to do a scatter on these, and then I can just do a volume fracture. So you've got one going on like this already. Where can I get rid of the actual viewing of it all? So we've got like this where you're actually just scattering on each one. It's not really doing much, and then you've got to scatter by density. Okay, so I'm going to scatter along here. I'm going to set it to, I better force it because then I'd have to push this right down. Oh, I could probably put it right down. 0.2. Even then, it's not much. It's still too much. Yeah, I'm just going to set it to force count. I'm going to set it to about 5. I'm going to set it about to 2.8. I don't want that many pieces on this. Maybe even less. About 100. And I could relax, or I could put this. I'm going to set this relaxation to about 2, because I do want to have some pieces apart from each other. Okay. And then what I can do is I'm going to grab a Voronoi fracture. And I'm just going to use the new one for now. Wire these 2 up. And now we have this. Is working kind of weirdly though. That's because some of these pieces aren't hold, in a sense. So it's generating geometry around it and stuff. But that's unfortunately something we can't really get around there. It's just closing it off for us. Let's try the old one. No, it's going to give us the same result. Okay. So we could do it this way, basically. And you would go for each one. Do that. I won't do it here because time is precious. So I'm going to use the old Voronoi fracture. I am actually just going to save this out as well. The Voronoi really does take a long time. I'm hoping it doesn't actually... Does it do that anyway? On the insides? Looks like it's doing on the insides anyway. Okay. Fair enough. So then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to file cache this out. And I'm going to just say the parent. I'm going to say geo. And I'm just going to say hi fighter fracture. And I'm just going to save the disk and I'm going to load it. Remember that the names are very important. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to get rid of this, get rid of this, and get rid of this. And then what I want to do is I want to set up the packing here. Do you have... Oh, you've already scaled. You scale it down. Okay, so I'm actually have to scale it down. So transform. I'm just going to scale it down to 0.01. What was it? Sorry, 0.05. My bad. So I want to keep the scale correctly, but I don't want to keep the animation. And then you're unpacking, you're promoting the attributes, connecting it. Don't know why you need to do that, to be honest. The name is already on there, so when you unpack it, why are you transferring that name there? You don't need to transfer the name, you don't need to do that. Because once you unpack it, the name just comes, because it's on the point, when you unpack it, it's just going to bring back whatever was unpacked. And so you don't even need this, really, because you're not packing it. So I'm just going to go like this, get rid of the unpack. Okay, so now you have this. You're getting the constraint power attributes. Why are you getting power attributes there? Okay. Adding the name. Really? Why are you adding the name? The points. No, the points. Hang on, this part is a bit confusing to me. I don't know why you're doing this. If I get rid of this, what happens then? Nothing. And you're blasting out 2 pieces. I'm not too sure why. So I'm just going to keep it like that. And I'm just going to set the constraints. Okay. So these are glue constraints, I believe. Yep, they're glue. Okay, cool. So I'm also going to get rid of this. So this is the constraints. And this one is going to be the RBD. I'm just going to call it out. That's it. Houdini automatically picked up the out. I'm going to say tie fighter RBD and constraints. Okay. I tend to color these green, but that's up to you. Okay, so for this animation, what we really want. So the animation should be put either here or up in the geonode. So I'm going to put it up in the geonode. So I'm going to say hi fighter. And I want to bring over this animation. So I'm going to try my best to do that. Copy parameter. And paste these. Oh, what one would it be? So I really do want to just copy the parameter of this, your whole animation that you've got going on here. Let's take a look at the animation editor. Okay, so you actually do have one, an animation set on the last frame. I didn't see that. Okay. So ideally, what I should be able to do is I should be able to take these, copy these, and go up to here and just paste them here. I've pasted in the wrong ones, I think. Have I? Did I paste in the wrong ones? Wait, did I? I really hope I didn't. Probably did. Hang on. Okay, try this again. And I'm going to delete set to 0, set to 0, set to 0. Then I'm just going to try this again. Like that. And it's putting it into there, which I'm really not wanting. So I'm just going to turn off these. And hopefully that has given us the animation. Oops. That has given us this animation. It has. Cool. Well, kind of. Oh, no, pretty much it has. Okay, cool. So let's just preview this. The animation can do a bit of work. So you want to smoothly interpolate between these. So you're currently on linear. If you look at these, you've got linear and ease sort of thing. This will come down to actual animation topics though. So I would go to here and I would set it to, set it to like cubic like this, so we actually get some smooth interpolation between them. That's another topic. That's animation. Okay, so with the terrain gives us something beautiful to work with, which is the fact that you don't even need to convert it. So hopefully, so you've already cooked out the terrain here, and I don't know what right. Okay, so she froze at frame 8. Okay, so I'm going to say terrain volume. And the best part about this is that we don't need to convert it to a height. We don't need to convert it to this. We can just bring it straight in. I'm going to hit save, and I'm just going to let it cook. Okay. And then I'm just going to bring in this. So this one's terrain volume. Oh, it's terrain volume. Oh dear. Why aren't you there? Please tell me I did not just... Oh no, it's under geo. Okay, under geo. There we go. So this is a volume, and Houdini can actually work with this. inside the .NET. So I'm just going to delete a few things that I don't need, which would be everything in here except for the name. So I don't want to get rid of the name. Like so. I want to get rid of everything except for the height. So I'm going to say last. I'm going to say get rid of everything except like so. And now this is just one volume with just a height parameter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that in null. Let's say out mountain wall. And I'm going to say out mountain geo. I'm pretty sure I don't even need to use the geo for this, but we'll keep it here for now. Alright, so back into the ship animation, I'm just going to get rid of this. And I'm going to go into my .network here. And so you've got the terrain going on. Move this down, smooth this away. So you've got a ship animation here. Let's just make sure the ship is working for now. So I want to make sure the ship is working. When are you actually calculating this? Calculating at frame 39. So let's go to frame 39. Let's go to frame 39. So that we know when we're actually going to start. So if we click on this, then hopefully nothing should be happening. Oh no, it is actually getting it. That's great. So the reason it's getting it is because it's saying use object transform. If that wasn't on here, then it probably wouldn't be using it. And you've got the inherit point velocity. It's good. Okay. So now we want to make sure that the glue constraints are working. So I'm just going to turn this back on. Actually, this shouldn't be working. So I'm going to say create active objects here. And I'm going to go up because it was getting the wrong one. I want TIE Fighter out, TIE Fighter RBD. Not too sure why it's actually getting stuff, so I'm just going to get rid of that for now. So I don't want it. I just want to view my RBD. Don't know why it's taking forever. As you can see, it's not working. So we probably do need to create a forming active object. Normally though, this would work, but you've also got this overwrite attributes here, so animated, deforming, stuff like that. So we want to say animated object. Let's try animated one for now. And as you can see, it is actually animating across. So this is coming in as a static object. We want to say it is actually we want to turn this off after a bit. We want to say it's actually a want to turn it into a static active object. So I'm going to overwrite these attributes here. And when the animation ends, I'm going to set what I want. So the animation seems to end. Where does it end? It seems to end about frame 90. So I'm going to go down to here. I'm going to make an attribute wrangle. And I don't know if it needs to be on the primitives or the points. So let's try the primitives first. So I'm going to say I at active equals 1. And so this way, what should happen is it should just stop. Okay, so let's take a look. There's the point attributes. Okay, so I'm just going to grab these. So this has to be on the points. Set back the points. And I don't even need to say I active like that. I'm just going to grab this. I'm just going to hide these for now with the comment. And as we can see, it's now no longer working. So what I want to do is I want to say, hey, so I'm going to set it to this, like so. Say its active is 0. I'm going to set at animated equals 1. That's not how you spell animated. and at deforming equals 0. If, actually I'm going to say, this is going to be an if statement. If at frame it's greater than 90 or greater than 89, sort of thing. Else do this. So I'm going to say, hey, while it's not frame 89 yet, just do all these. So now what should happen is if we dive inside a .network here, we should get an animation. We're not. It's really annoying. Okay. Let's try the other way around then. Let's actually add some gravity to see if it actually is doing anything. Nope. So I'm going to put this back to above, and I'm going to say, I'm just going to turn these all. Still not working. Okay, that's great. Always want that to happen when you're doing a recording. Yeah, it's not even working here. Okay, so I think the reason being is that it can't seem to work outside of the frame range. So what I can do is, because this is technically a pop network, I can say pop wrangle, and I can actually, I'm going to put it in the pre-solve. I can actually take all this here, dive inside here, and place it into here like that. I'm going to go dive into here, and I'm going to turn off all this. I'm just going to keep these to be the defaults, like so. And then what's going to happen is every frame is going to update and do this. And I don't think I even need this one. Let's try that. Nope. You can see it's actually going a lot slower now because it's actually turned on. I'm not too sure why the animated part isn't working though. So, I'm going to say at static equals 1. And I need to say, hey, override the static part as well. Nope. Okay. So let's try animated static objects. So. And then I'm just going to turn this off. Okay. So I'm going to turn this off. A lot of back and forth. There we go. So that's back to working. And so then I'm going to plug this back in. So at about frame 90, what I want to happen is I want it to stop animating, and I want it to actually start deforming, and it just disappears. So it's good. So it's gone all the way up there. Don't know why it's done that. Always great when this sort of stuff happens, isn't it? So I'm going to turn off use object transform. Try again. So the object transform is taking the stop geometry, basically. So we're getting somewhere at least. The fact that I'm a bit weirded out by why it jumps. It shouldn't be jumping. Okay, so let's actually put the animation back onto the transform node then. Let's just delete these and we set them to 0. And let's go to frame 900. I find it's faster with RBD to just set a frame and just go to it, because then it doesn't have to visualize the OpenGL node as such. Yeah, it's that part is just making it jump. Very weird. Really wish I knew why. So we could probably just use a SOP solver instead. It would do the same thing. Yeah, that's weird. Okay. Let's try a SOP solver. Let's dive inside here. And these are the points. I'm going to say attribute angle. I'm going to put an output node. Oops. Output node. So it always is going to be going to the output. I'm just going to paste this in here. I'm going to say at static if it's right. I have no idea if the static even is an attribute. Let me Google it. Um, okay. Yep, it just pops right out. I really do hate that. Why does that? Just makes it pop. Okay, well, it's slow, but we can just say deforming active objects. And the reason I don't like it is just that. Okay, so what's happening here is you've got interpenetrating geometry. So you're going to need to really fix up the geometry here. But, so what that's going to mean is you're going to have to do what I was detailing out here. Fixing all this up, and even when it's doing it, and it's doing this thing where it's penetrating inside as well. So you're going to have to try and fix it all up by probably modeling it or remodeling it so that it actually fits. So, I will detail how to do this later, soon. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put in a box, and I am going to say this. Just going to use this box, use a Voronoi fracture here, use a scatter, and we're going to detail how to do this side here. But basically, you really need to fix up the geometry, which is, yeah, it's a pain, but it's just something that we all have to deal with in time. Come on. So let's see, how big is this box? How big is this? It's okay, so that's a bit better. So 30, so 29, 37, 33. Was it? Sorry, 20, 29, 30, 33, 37. 30, let's go 38, 33. That. Okay, I could just use a bound, to be honest. There we go. And so now I've got like an animating object there. So now if I go down to ship to the ship. It's gone. So it's kind of breaking apart because of just like that. So it could just be, it probably isn't the bad geometry then. So let's let's just go back to this for now, and let's just enable our constraints. So I'm going to go to here, and I'm going to say enable the constraints, and I want to view them. They are bloody massive. Why are they so big? That's not a good idea. Why are they so big? Ah, right. That's transforming it back down. My bad. Okay. See how long it's taking just to solve. So let's go back to a static, animated static object sort of thing for now. Even then, that's taking a long time, isn't it? Okay, so let's bring back our pop wrangle node. Pop wrangle, and let's say if that frame is greater than 89, then I'm going to say animated equals 0. So active equals 1. And then deforming equals. Actually, I don't think I need to set the deform. I don't really want to set the deform because the animation is finished. So let's go down to 100 frames. Actually, before we do that, let's turn off this show guide geometry. Let's go display geometry. Let's go back. Let's go to 100 frames. Let's reset. Cooking was interrupted. Fair enough. Okay, that's great news to hear. Hopefully I saved it. Let's take a look. It's always great when that happens. Huh. I don't know why it's cutting it now. Why was it cutting it? Cutting it like that. So I'm just going to set the display flag to this part here. And we still have all this working. Yep. Cool. So I'm going to go back to the dot import. I'm going to say turn off this, turn you back on. And because we aren't changing the deforming part, I'm going to set to that. 100. Why is it now cutting pieces up again? Why is it cutting the pieces up? It really should not be cutting these pieces up. Let's go to you. Turn you off. You. It shouldn't be cutting anything. Why is that being cut? Why is it cutting you? You are not being used. So I am actually just going to delete this. But you are not being used. Unless you were being used here. You were. So I'm going to go back to my TIE fighter. Constraints, get proper constraints. There we go. And fingers crossed that it actually does work with this thing here. Yep. Cool. It's a little slow. But now let's bring in the terrain. Let's bring in all these. So I'm just going to get rid of this. I'm going to wire this into here. Swap around by selecting it and going Shift R. I'm just going to get rid of the X. Bring in the terrain. And under the collisions, I'm going to say no, ray intellect. I'm going to say height field. I'm going to say proxy geometry. I'm going to go terrain, volume. Oops. That's the defaults. I want to view my collision geometry right now. Nothing's going to come up. Oh, okay, so it did come up. That's why, so I'm just going to go geo, like that. Turn off display geometry. Actually, I'm going to turn on display geometry. So let's see what happens. Alright, so I'm going to say 120 frames. So that's why it was slow, is because I was pointing to the wrong constraint network. My bad. And I was turning on the deforming part as well. So where is it? There we go. So if you want to actually include the velocity, so let's go to here. I believe we can do a velocity here onto the actual name points here, and I go trail. I'm going to get velocity there. But I'm not, and I'm turning the animation off basically at when the frame. So I could say if frame equals greater than or equals to 90, that would be the same thing as doing as this. What it's doing here. Just saying if it's actually frame 90, then turn the animation off. So I'm going to set this to 120 again. Let it cook. And yep, there we go. Doesn't seem to slow down. Okay, kind of does. So we might. Let's see if we can push the velocity up. I'm multiplying it by 10 here. So who knows what that'll do. So let's say V. Oh wait, no, inherit velocity from there. Sorry, my bad. I was in the wrong one. I forgot to set that. And so we may actually need to put the velocity on the hat geometry. Interesting, interesting. Right, so the velocity is actually coming out to 0 because we're putting the trail in there. So we actually need to put the trail in before we do this. So I'm going to go transform here, put the trail here, and I'm going to put this up here. So you're basically correct there, just don't animate this part here, which I think you would. I'm not too sure if you were doing. I can't quite remember. So let's dive back into the network. But normally what we will do is we put the animation on the SOP level and animate that in. for some reason it was jumping up, and I don't know why it was jumping up. Where is it? Where is it? There it is. Okay, so why is that not working now? It's very interesting. We turn this off. So this is just me debugging it now. Turn this off, go back up, turn off this inherit. Still not working. Okay. Put the transform back after the packing. And now it's working again. Okay, so the transform has to be after the pack. So let's work on getting the geometry back in. So I am going to put down a merge node, and I'm going to put down a solver. Solver here. So I want to now add geometry in. So what I could do is this dot geometry is going to give me the velocity here of whatever's coming in. And if we take a look, the velocity is what? It is actually coming in, sort of thing. But we want to inherit some. We want to mess with some of this velocity here. So what we could do is if we jump back up to our TIE fighter here, and instead of all this, that's what I'm going to do. This. So we actually are going to trail it, and we're actually going to get some velocity on point blocks there. So what I want to do is, I think, can't quite remember how you're supposed to do this. Here's the way. Let's start by getting the bell from here. So we need velocity. Jump back inside up to here, to here. Should not be here, it should be here. And I want the object merge and bring that in. So now that's going to bring in the animation there. This is the dot job. This is the dot network here. And so we want to get, so okay, these are all packed, sort of thing. And what I want to do is I'm going to say attribute angle. So, and I believe I want to get the same name, but they really should be the same. So let's see, look, I think it's rfind attrib val. So I want to find attrib val on the second input. It is a, what are we looking for? We're looking for the name. So we're looking for the name here. Point attribute, so I'm going to say, I'm looking at the on the screen here, I've got the actual documentation up. So it's the attribute class, so I want the point, there we go, it's point. Next is the attribute name, which is going to be name. the value that I'm looking for. Okay, and this is going to give me the point. Int point. Okay, so that's the point that's running over. Normally it would be the same, but this is just a safeguard. So I'm then going to say I want to get the velocity, so I'm going to say val, import the point from the second input, I want the v, and I'm going to use the point that I found from this find attribute val. There's only going to be one that's going to find. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say v at v plus equals val. Okay, let's try that. Who knows what's going to happen. It doesn't like it. Love to know why. So let's go to the geometry spreadsheet. So we've got animated. Yep. So I want to go to the V. The V is correct. Yeah, the V is correct. Oh no, the velocity is massive here. And then all of a sudden, bang, it's gone. So what I want to do is I want to say, hey, if... Oh, wait. Right. So it's just adding that velocity over time, I think, which we really don't want. So I'm going to say, if the frame is equal to 90, then just do this once. That's it. I don't want to do it any more times. It's the only time I wanted to do it. I could even put that on enable solver and just say do it on frame 90 only. It's still just stopping there. It's very annoying. Let's take a look at geometry. So ship animation geometry. Let's take a look why it's doing that. So animated active, yep, it's on. Yes, yes, yep, yep, yep. Very unusual. I would love to know why this is doing this. That is very, very strange. Let's try overwriting it. Nope, still doesn't like it. I'm not too sure why it just stops there. It's very frustrating though. Very, very frustrating. But we probably could increase the velocity after this. So I'm going to say if at frame equals 90, then hey, how about we go v at v times equals 20. And I'm just going to change this up. I'm just going to delete the subsolver. Not too sure why it does that. That is very weird. I'll need to probably talk to Saber, but that should not be happening. It works now, in a sense. Just don't know why it's not letting me transfer the velocity over. So it's working like this, sort of thing. But if we wanted to increase the velocity, so pop well, and with this scale, so free. It just shatters. So looks like the velocity is completely wrong when it gets calculated. It's very weird. But so far it's working, so that's basically what you want. If you wanted it to be faster, then you'd animate it faster. You'd also put gravity on. See how it like kind of slows down, sort of thing. It's not nice. I really do wish I knew why I did that. Let's try deforming active object. It'll be slower. I need to reset it. Alright, because I need to turn off the forming here, so I could say that's deforming equals 0. I will talk to Saber about why the velocity is doing something very weird. Yeah, that's weird. Okay. So yeah, put it to active static, and basically do what I did. I would like to know why it's not working so well here. Maybe if we put it to pre-solve. Pre-solve shouldn't do any difference. It's just doing it before it actually solves the whole thing. So, but I will take a look into this a little bit more. Figure out why the velocity isn't being imported over. You might also want to make these a bit heavier. Again, I don't know why it doesn't reset the actual sim. Doesn't. Oh well. Oh look, I'm about to end on like 60 seconds almost exactly. 60 minutes, I should say, almost exactly. There you go. Pretty much just shattered. So yeah, fix up the... I would fix up all this, making it actually fractured to look like an actual fracture of what the TIE Fighter would fracture like, so it would probably be more bending. Okay, actually bending is a bit hard to do, since you're just into the fundamentals. So I would take out the small pieces and fracture the larger pieces, and so on, and work with that geometry, making sure that your name, so piece attribute, so you say like this is going to be arms sort of thing, then the next one is going to be wings, so that when you merge them back in together, they're going to be different. You always want different names. You want unique names for each fractured piece. But I will look into why the velocity isn't transferring over, and why it just jumped like that when I did the transform here. That is rather annoying. But yes, that's how I would go about doing it. Good work with this though. Let me know how it goes. See ya.